Late at night, this man covers his eyes and pushes open the bathroom door. Inside, two naked girls stare at him with mischievous smiles. Evan says he's married and asks them to put on their clothes, but they only laugh louder and then suddenly pounce on him. When they kneel down, Evan finally gives in. After a wild night, Evan falls asleep. The two girls glance at each other and smile knowingly. Just an hour earlier, the same two girls had knocked on Evan's door, drenched from the rain, asking for help. Evan, wary of strangers, turned them down at first. But when one of them sneezes, he feels pity and lets them in. They step into his luxurious house, take off their shoes so they don't dirty the floor, while Evan goes to get them towels. Meanwhile, the polite guests wander into the living room without asking. Still, seeing their sweet faces and pitiful looks, Evan doesn't think much of it. He tells them to make themselves at home, unaware that danger is already creeping closer. Checking the map, the girls realize they've taken the wrong road. Out of kindness, Evan offers to call them a car, but it'll take 45 minutes. 45 minutes! The air turns awkward. The girls whisper. Evan looks confused. Then he learns they just want to use his dryer. He hesitates for a moment. He agrees, even helps dry one girl's soaked phone in a bowl of rice. Rain keeps pouring outside. Wearing only bathrobes, the girls hand him their wet clothes. As Evan loads them into the dryer, music suddenly blares from the living room. Something feels off. The girls are playing with his antique music box and cuddling his beloved dog. He grabs the dog back, suspicion growing, though he doesn't notice the wicked look flashing in their eyes. They keep chatting casually, pretending nothing's wrong, trying to kill time. When Evan mentions his wife and daughter went downtown this morning, the girls hug him out of nowhere. He quickly stands up and keeps his distance, sitting across from them. Yet even from afar, their teasing words slowly break down his guard. They edge closer again. When they spot his wife's photo, Evan smiles proudly, unaware that his defenses are slipping. There are still 20 minutes before the car arrives. The girls press harder, touching, laughing, tempting. Evan forces a polite smile and keeps moving around to avoid them, but they won't stop. Their eyes burn with desire. Seeing he's still resisting, the two decide to go all in. Evan puts on music to ease the tension, but the girls start dancing seductively. Their robes hide nothing. Belle leans in, trying to push him over the edge. Just then, his phone rings. The car has arrived. Evan turns to fetch their clothes from the dryer, muttering a curse under his breath. Still restless, he calls out to them from the hallway. No answer. Growing uneasy, he opens the frosted glass door. Inside, the two girls are completely naked, pressing up against him. They don't care about the car waiting outside. Evan protests again that he has a family, but as they kneel down, desire wins over reason. Outside, the storm rages. Inside, the two girls smile like winners. No one knows how long he sleeps. When Evan finally wakes, they're gone. He heads to the kitchen, only to find them still there, laughing and making a mess. Seeing the chaos, Evan grows annoyed but still politely tells them to leave, then picks up his dog. But now the girls drop the act and start pushing boundaries. Evan, furious, decides to drive them home. Yet one of them, Genesis, grins and says, "This could be our home." Watching the two girls fool around without restraint, Evan's anger hits its peak. Just then, his wife calls. He panics and hides. "Hey baby." While video chatting, the two girls suddenly walk out again, scaring him half to death. He fumbles to cover the camera and hurriedly hangs up. They've crossed the line. Evan explodes, shouting for them to leave. The girls giggle and run off, but they don't actually go. Evan storms through the house searching, only to find Genesis. He keeps looking, yanks open the closet, and finds Belle hiding inside. Furious, he drags her out, carries her to the bedroom, and orders both of them to get dressed immediately. He waits at the door. 2 hours pass. Still no one comes out. When he finally checks again, he finds his wife's artwork vandalized with crude graffiti. Evan snaps. He threatens to call the police, but the girls just smirk. They know he won't dare. Evan pulls out his wallet, trying to pay them off. To his shock, they get angry instead. Clearly, money isn't what they're after. Just then, a female neighbor knocks on the door, looking for Evan. While he's talking to her, Genesis suddenly appears. The neighbor instantly realizes something's wrong and turns to leave. Evan rushes after her, trying to explain, but inside, the two girls start blasting music and dancing wildly. Evan tries to drive them out, but it turns into a twisted game of hide and seek. At his wit's end, he grabs his phone to call the police, but Genesis hangs up the call. "Can you give us a ride?" Finally, the girls agree to leave. They sit in Evan's car, faces blank, eyes cold and defiant. When he drops them off, they don't go home. Instead, they light cigarettes and stroll into a nearby park. Evan drives home alone. He starts cleaning the mess, believing it's finally over. But while he's working, a noise comes from the living room. He cautiously walks over, picks up a fallen photo frame, and is knocked unconscious from behind. When Evan wakes up, he's tied to the bed. Belle stands over him and calls him daddy. She moves closer, slowly takes off her stockings, and tosses them onto his chest. At that moment, Evan's phone rings. The girls search his body, find the phone. It's his wife calling. Excited, they shout that they'll live stream everything for her to see. Evan fights back desperately. Belle slaps him again and again until she's exhausted. Then they change the game. While Belle goes wild, Evan manages to break free. He dashes out of the bedroom, only to find Genesis waiting. She attacks like a maniac. Within seconds, Evan collapses. When he wakes again, he's tied up once more. Now the girls are in full control. They start a mock talk show. Genesis plays the host, Evan the guest, and Belle puts headphones on him. Evan yells, "Crazy fucking bitches!" Genesis turns the volume all the way up. To protect his ears, Evan gives in and plays along. Genesis asks, "Why can't married men resist temptation?" Evan stares, speechless. She cranks the volume higher until he winces in pain. Then she asks again, "Castration or death?" Before he can answer, someone knocks on the door. Belle gags Evan with her stocking. The visitor is Louis, Evan's friend, there to pick up his wife's artwork. Genesis pretends to be Evan's niece, but when Louis sees the defaced painting, he's furious. Hearing strange noises, he rushes into the storage room and finds Evan tied up. Before he can help, the girls smash the painting. Louis charges at them, but suffers an asthma attack and collapses. The girls burst out laughing. Once Louis is down, they turn back to Evan, eyes filled with madness. The girls hide Louis's body, then turn back to Evan, ready for punishment. The twisted interview resumes. Genesis asks coldly, "What punishment should you get for betraying your wife?" Evan insists, "I love my wife. I'm a good father." Genesis sighs in disappointment. "Then let's play a little longer." Evan shouts for help. Belle picks up his family photo, staring at it with disgust. In their eyes, Evan's family are the real victims. Everything they're doing now is revenge for his lust, his betrayal, and his weakness. Evan screams in despair. He tries to explain, tries to make them understand he never wanted this. It was they who kept pushing. Genesis grins. "You're to be executed at dawn." Outside, the girls start digging a hole in the yard. Evan can do nothing but watch as they prepare his grave, shovel by shovel. Then he spots his tablet nearby. Desperate, he stretches his tied hands toward it. Glancing at the girls to make sure they're distracted, he quietly lifts the cover and presses the home button, calling his wife. But the moment the line connects, they catch him. The tablet shatters against the floor. His last hope dies with it. Then, to his horror, the girls mimic the same playful gestures he used with his daughter in a home video. That's when it hits him. They've been watching him for a long time. They've been stalking his life. After showering and changing into his wife's clothes, the girls begin smashing everything in sight. They rip apart paintings, knock over furniture, destroy her artwork. Evan can only watch, helpless. Then they place a flower pot over his head, pretending to give him a haircut. Moments later, a gun falls from a shelf. Genesis picks it up. She cuts Evan loose and smirks. She tells Evan to hide. If they can't find him, they'll leave on their own. Evan grabs a knife and a frying pan, trying to defend himself, but he slips and crashes to the ground. Genesis points the gun at him. Evan yells for help, but Genesis doesn't even flinch. They've already done their research. There are no neighbors nearby. The next morning, they drag Evan into the yard. He screams as they shove him toward the pit. No one hears. He falls in, buried up to his neck. Only his head remains above the dirt. The girls untie him, just for fun, and force him to call his wife. "Confess everything," Genesis orders. Evan pleads for help, but Belle snatches the phone away. His cries echo through the yard. The girls just laugh louder. Genesis lifts a gravestone-sized rock above his head. Evan panics, wetting himself in terror. The girls roar with laughter. Then they reveal the truth. "This was all a test," Genesis says smugly, "to prove men are all the same." Their tone drips with satisfaction. Then they confess their real ages, old enough that Evan hasn't broken any law. Before leaving, they post every video and photo online, exposing everything. They force Evan to watch the comments, watch the world curse him. Then, as a final insult, they take his dog and walk away.